Welcome to section 8.7, slope-intercept form of a line. This section's got a lot in it, but we're going to do the bare essentials and cover more of it in class. So slope-intercept form is the big topic, and this is a big Algebra 1 topic. So we've already graphed using ordered pairs. That's when we made little XY tables. So our point is can we graph faster than that? And the answer is yes, if it's in a very specific form called slope-intercept form. So we're going to determine slopes and y-intercepts of lines, and then we're going to graph linear equations using the slope and the y-intercept. So first of all, y-intercept. What in the heck is the y-intercept? Well, if you know some vocabulary and you know sports, intercept means to catch. And really what it means is to cross. So the y-intercept is the point where you cross the y-axis. That's what it is. And since this is the y-axis here, any point that a line would cross on this would be the y-intercept. So it could be right here at 0, 6, 5, or 0, 1, or 0, -3, whatever it is. If the line went through that point, that would be its y-intercept. Okay. So y-intercept, it's where you point that crosses the y-axis, where you cross the y-axis. That is where you, sorry. Now for us then, slope-intercept form of a line. Slope-intercept form of a line. This is called the y equals mx plus b form. You know, sorry, depending upon some previous classes, you may recognize y equals mx plus b. But the letter for slope is m, and the letter for the y-intercept is b. So in this problem here, our slope is 2, which means 2 over 1, which means positive 2 over positive 1. Actually, remember we talked about this in section 8.6. Slope, the numbers have a positive meaning, and this means a rise and a run. So if it's a positive rise, it means up 2. If it's a positive run, it means right 1. And if you look at this line here, you can see that it has a slope of 2. Now the y-intercept is 1, and that's the number on the end. So the number in front of the x is the slope. The number on the end is the y-intercept. So this one's plus 1, so it's positive 1. So this graph starts at positive 1 on the y-axis. And then if you go from that point, if you go up 2, right 1, you'll see up 2, right 1. There's your line. There's your line. Okay. And actually what happens is it keeps going up 2, right 1 the whole way through. Up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1 the whole way. It's like little stair steps. And each time you do that, you get a new point. So the first example for our notes is just basically, hey, can you find the slope and the y-intercept given a line? So state the slope and the y-intercept of the graph of y equals 1/2 x plus 3. Now we haven't graphed it yet. We're just figuring out what the slope and the y-intercept is from the equation actually. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. Okay. So, okay, what's the slope? Well, the slope is the number in front of x, and in this case, the number in front of x is 1/2. Slope's 1/2. The y-intercept is number afterwards, so since it says positive 3, that's b, positive 3. And that's it for now. Again, so we'll do more when we graph these in a couple minutes, but for right now, that's it. Slope's the number in front of x, y-intercept's the number on the end. So here's your example for you to try and tell me real quick, looking at this from the on the video. I'll ask you what's the slope and what's the y-intercept. Okay, so from your video, hopefully you told me that the slope, since y equals mx plus b, so tell me the slope is the number in front of x, which is 2. Okay. The y-intercept, the b, is the number on the end, which is -7. Okay. All right, now, graphing-wise. Okay, graphing. We're going to graph using this method. We're going to find it's really quick once we get used to it. Okay. But when you're graphing by slope-intercept method, you must plot the, you'll see a blank in your notes there, y-intercept first. That's what you have to do. The y-intercept. That's what you plot first. Okay. So, here's our first example. We're going to graph. Y equals 2/3. Yeah. Slope is 2/3. Y-intercept is -1. So the y-intercept is on the y-axis, so it's at -1. So for this one here, I'm going to start at the point -1 for the y-intercept. Okay. There's the first point of the line. I've already got 1 point. Now, the slope is 2/3. That's what we're going to go back to. Remember, slope is rise over run. We have a +2 and a +3, which means 2 up and 3 right. Okay. So from the y-intercept then, I've got 1 point already. What I will do is go up 2, right 1, 2, 3. I'll make a point there, and then I will graph my line. Okay. There's the line y equals, or there's the slope 2/3. There's the y-intercept at -1. Okay. All right, next one. This is where things get trickier when the slope is negative. The y-intercept is +2. The slope is -1/2. Doesn't matter. I still do the y-intercept first. So on the y-axis, plot on 2. Okay. And here's where things get tricky with the slope. It's -1/2. Now you have to memorize this. I mean, I'll show you why now, but you also just have to memorize it. When there's a negative in the front, either there has to be a negative on top with the positive on bottom, or a positive on top with a negative on the bottom. And the reason is we can't make both of them negative. If I do -1 over -2, the two negatives would cancel and I would get just one. I'd get +1/2, which I'm told no, the slope is negative. So the slope has to be either the top is negative or the bottom is positive. And the top is positive or the bottom is negative. Now if I do this one here, this means -1 over 2 means down 1, right 2, or, that's just sloppy, where you're at that, down 1, or up 1, left 2. That's what this one means, up 1, left 2. So from this point I can either go down 1, right 1, 2, okay. Or I can start from this point and go up 1, left 2. So go up 1, left 2. And you'll see it doesn't matter which way I go, it lines up nicely. Now where did I put my ruler at? It's just my, there it is. So now I'll connect these 3 dots, and that's my line. Okay. All right, one last example, because the last thing that's left is, what if the slope is a whole number? Or what if the y-intercept is 0? Well, that doesn't matter. Again, I still start here. Where the y-axis is 0 at is actually at the origin. So if the y-intercept is 0, it means we're starting here at the origin. Now, the number -2 as a fraction is either -2 over +1, because I just put it over 1, or like the previous example, I could actually say +2 over -1. And now from this point that I plotted, I can either go down 2, right 1, so down 1, 2, right 1, or I could go up 2, left 1, up 1, 2, left 1, and then plot those 2 points and be done. Okay. Now if I go back real quick just to talk about this first example, this first one I did like this, I only did excuse me, 2 points. I did the initial y-intercept, then I went up 2, right 3. We don't do this very often, but you could also make that -2 over -3, because negative divided by negative is a positive number, which would mean down 2, left 3. So if I go back to the y-intercept at -1, if you notice, if I count down 1, 2, and left 1, 2, 3, it did line up right on there as well. Okay. Now, the last example I want to do is y equals negative 1/2 x minus 4. This is how we're really going to do this in this section, is graph like this. The key is, it's in slope-intercept form. It's in that y equals mx plus b format. Our slope, our m, is negative 1/2, which is either negative 1 over positive 2 or positive 1 over negative 2. And our y-intercept, our b, is minus 4 here, so it's negative 4. So if I'm going to graph this, the first thing I do is I plot the y-intercept, so I go down to negative 4 on the y-axis. And this line is either down 1, right 2, or up 1, left 2. So down 1, right 2, or up 1, left 2. Okay. And notice all three of them line up. Graph a line through it. And there's our line. And that's a lot faster than me making an XY table and going, okay, I'll plug in 0, and then I'll pick 2 because of the fact that it's to cancel with that, and I'll pick a negative 2 to cancel off with it, and then plugging those numbers in and working it all out and getting, okay, 0, negative 4, and 2, negative 5, and negative 2, negative 3, plotting those three numbers out, and then whoosh, I can just say, nope, slope is, or y-intercept is negative 4, slope was negative 1/2, down 1, right 2, or up 1, left 2, whoosh, done. So in class, we'll go through a lot more of these examples, so we have to practice this a lot, but that'll be what we do in class. All right, thank you.